Welcome back, Barbarians. We're back with another episode of the Barbarian Show, and we got a killer for you today. I am very honored to get to bring to you one of my good friends, Lacie Glaeser. Lacie, welcome to the Blue Car Barbarian Show. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Like we were talking a little bit offline, what I want people to understand is this is really cool opportunity. Let me just tell you about my friend Lacie. Lacie has come up through the trenches, and her husband is actually one of my best friends, and me and him were talking years ago when I was being aggressive in the crane and trying to build a social media brand. And Lacie would be at work and she'd be like, I am so sick of not having more out of my career, of not being paid what I deserve, of doing all this extra work. And you know what she did? She took action. You took action, Lacie, and I'm
Yes.
excited to hear about how we got there. And for our lady barbarians out there, what I really want you to take from Lacie is just one, she's a powerhouse of a mom. Two, that you're never really stuck, that you have options, even though it's scary. And three, I just want you to hear her story. We need to celebrate powerhouse women and mothers, and I think it's important that we tell everybody's story. So, Lacie, welcome to the Barbarian Show. I'm
Thank
excited
you.
to talk to you.
Thank you.
Before we get started, I want to take a second to say thank you to True Work. True Work is going to bring us this show today. You can see that I'm looking dapper in this True Work vest. This is their new work vest in this coyote or sand. I don't know. They call it a tan, but it's my favorite vest to date. You can also check out the B2 flannel. My wife thinks they're dapper and she loves them. And quite frankly, I like looking good and feeling good. So please support those that support us and check out True Work. That's enough of that. Lacie, let's talk about you. Give me
Yeah,
the Glaeser story.
sure. So I am the oldest of three kids.
Okay.
My sister and brother, they're 4 or 5 years younger than I am. My parents, they divorced when I was 10 years old. And at that time, my mom had to like stop with the stay-at-home mom thing and get a
Yeah.
job. And so I kind of like really had to grow up fast because I had to help my mom.
Yeah.
Um, so um, and then but growing up I also was always a tomboy, loved to hang out with my dad. My dad taught me how to shoot a gun, he taught me how to hunt, he taught me how to fish, he went through hunter safety with me. So I had a really great life, but I had some things, that shaped me as well along the way. And as far as a young kid goes, those things were, really influential in my life. And then just kind of always been a tomboy, I guess, and interested in industrial type things, specifically ships, vessels. And eventually, later in my early 20s, I got a job at Fraser Shipyards, which is it's a shipyard on the northwest side of Lake Superior. It's on the very tip when you're looking at the map. And loved that job. I was like a sponge, just like soaking it in. I learned about the construction of the vessels and got to work with the Coast Guard and ABS and learned a ton about welding and just all the things. And then eventually they had a sister company, Lake Assault Boats, who I primarily worked for the majority of the time I was there. I was there for 9 years, and they built mission-specific tactical vessels for the U.S. government, and they were sold to the Navy, the Army, Marine Corps, etc. You name it, we built it for them. And that job I loved. I still miss it to this day. Their mission, it's the mission. To help people. And, it was really cool to be in on those government contracts and stuff. And that job was really interesting to me. So, yeah, I don't know where you want to take it from here.
No, you're good. So let's
Okay.
back up. So you
Yeah.
started out, you had to grow up fast. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of people probably in this audience, there's a lot of women that will listen to this, and even men that are going to listen to this and be like, man, I had to too. Like something happened and it shaped me. What did you learn from that experience having to grow up? Did that help set you up like for your mindset as far as like I mean, you kind of got a lesson on
Yes.
what tough would be early, right?
Yes. Yeah. What tough would be, what being independent would be, but also being helpful too. You know,
Yeah.
my mom was so grateful for me to be there to help her as well. So yeah, it was kind of just that like get it done, attitude that I had to have, and be there for my sister and brother, and also seeing my mom being independent too was a big influence on me. Um,
Yeah.
she was a workhorse, and so it was really cool to watch her because that was a good influence on me too, to take that on. And
Yeah.
yeah, so
And that just shaped you coming out of high school, I would assume, right? Like it kind of just set you up that you
hmm
knew, I would just guess, right? That you knew life's not always going to serve you lemons, right?
yeah,
It's
that's
it's
for
not
sure.
going to be roses. It's going
Yeah,
to come with grit and tenacity, and there's going to be situations that you're going to have to learn to overcome.
yeah,
Um, and so, what was
yeah.
that like being young 20s? Like, so you're fresh out of. Did you go to college?
I did go to college, so that's actually a part of my story. So I did go, I went for a semester to like Superior College, and I didn't grow up with money. My parents
Yeah,
didn't have money. My parents did not pay for my way through that first semester of college. I had to get the financial aid and loans, and it got so
yeah,
stressful to try to do that on my own and figure that out on my own, that I was like, I don't know that I really want to be in thousands of dollars of debt at this point when I don't even know what I for sure want to do yet. And so I was like, I'm just gonna let it go for now as far as
yeah,
school goes. But I did really well in high school as far as academically. And so then when I ended up getting the job at the shipyard, I just applied myself, and really focused on the work that was being done there. And um, I really learned a lot in that job, more I think than I ever have anywhere else academically. Like
yeah.
how to deal with people, um, and yeah, just the whole workhorse aspect of it
Yeah. And,
to
and
get it
that's
done.
incredible, right? Because what you did is you figured out, thankfully, early
hmm
that sometimes, I mean, like to our listeners that get offended about this, I'll kiss my ass because this is the Barbarian show, right? We do things the unruly way. That's the idea here. But you don't need to be thousands of dollars in debt to get the training to
Right.
set yourself up. In
hmm
fact, sometimes the best kind of training you can do is get thrown in and have to
Yes.
figure it out and muscle through it. And I mean, it even makes you appreciate it more a little bit, right?
I
Because
think so. Yeah, for sure.
everything you had to learn. Like you
Yes.
got thrown into the fire. It's
Yep.
not, hey, mom and dad bought me into this, or I got a degree from these people, so they think that it's, hey, I don't know anything about this. This
Yep.
terrifies me, but it
Yeah.
interests me.
Right.
And what am I really capable of? And what was that like? So, like, talk us through that because there's going to be a
Sure.
lot of young, people in their 20s or in their first career or 5 years, 3 years in that listen to this. And what was that like getting kind of thrown in and then figuring it
hmm
out? And like, let's be
Sure.
honest, like, building vessels, I imagine, is a male dominated industry, right? Like,
Yes.
it's a man's world. So, what, like, talk me through that.
Yeah. So, I guess the first thing, yes, it is a male dominated industry. But I kind of have always had like a masculine energy to myself. So I felt like I can kind of mesh in well. Um,
Yeah.
and also, I don't know how some people will feel about this, but I kind of had the attitude of like, close your mouth, but open your ears, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
listen to things, kind of take it in and soak it in. Also, find a mentor, like find someone that you trust, someone that is knowledgeable in the industry, and use that person as a mentor. Don't be afraid to ask questions, um, because you can't grow if if you're intimidated to ask questions. So asking questions is huge. and again, following that mentor, people that can help you. That's huge.
Yeah. And so what did you, for you, in your case, because everything
Hmm.
you're saying here is fire. I couldn't agree with you more. One, close your mouth, open your ears.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. You need to
Hmm.
listen and
Yeah.
understand, and there's things you can learn so much from just listening. And
Hmm.
two, it's going to disarm people. Like, and this is here's a pro tip for our audience that's just getting started. It's going to disarm people if you listen. They're not
Hmm.
going to. You're going to get rid. You're going to get to avoid, I guess, that that kid thinks he knows everything. He's full of
Yes.
ego. Blah blah blah. You're going to
Hmm.
get to skip that part of your journey and set
Yep.
yourself up probably above your peers, because most of your peers are going to do this yap yap yap. Right? Is that
Hmm.
what the kids call it now? Yapping.
Yeah.
But so yeah, you get to do that. And what was that like for you for picking a mentor and stuff? Because what you're saying here is you already kind of had that from, and this is my bad for brazing over that, but being a tomboy and being raised around the
Hmm.
hunting, the fishing, outdoors, you already have that edge, right? So you already know
Yeah.
how to deal with these characters. We'll say that
Yes.
this
Yeah.
construction, these foul mouth,
Hmm.
the dirty humor. None of that
Yes.
phased you, right? Like,
Correct. Not at all.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't phase me one bit still to this
And
day.
I
Yeah.
think I think it's so important. Like, you got to have tough skin.
Yeah, you do. You really do. You really do. And like also everybody is so offended by things these days. Like I don't know. I just don't have that in me to be easily offended by. I just don't take it personally by that foul mouth and like things like that.
Yeah,
I just don't. So if you're in that type of industry, you have to know like that's going to be there. It
yeah,
also doesn't excuse, inappropriate behavior, but at the same time, it's like that's going to happen.
yeah,
And I just was fine with meshing in with all of that, you know? Um,
yeah.
yeah.
So then, what was that like? So talk us through your progression. So 9 years. That's a
Yes.
good stint.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so there were a couple gentlemen that I worked with who had been in the industry for many years, um, whether it was in being a novel architect or engineering, um, and also the gentleman that started the company, like Assault Boats, was also a mentor for me too. And it was just spending a lot of time with them and like uh, hearing the conversations, like in the meetings. Like at the time, I was only the administrative assistant, and so had to be in on a lot of meetings and taking notes and that type of thing. But I was taking notes, but I was also like taking in the information and um, I don't know, it just was like a sponge to me. And I started to learn the process by having my ears open and eventually getting to the point where I felt comfortable. Like if they were trying to solve a problem, say with like building or sales or, with a customer or something, like I got comfortable enough over time that I could then start opening my mouth a little bit and
Yeah,
giving suggestions and um, um, offering like, well, I could do this to help, or I could do that, and they started seeing that in me, and then kind of bringing me in more into everything in the business because I learned it, and then felt comfortable and confident enough to be able to start kind of inserting myself into being a part of the business more.
yeah.
Um, and yeah.
No, that's great. So what you did there is essentially you listened and
Mm-hmm.
you started to get to a point where when now listening has become retained knowledge through
Mm-hmm.
experience.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
then you used that to leverage it to a position where you might come with solutions, essentially.
Right. Right.
And it's funny you say that because I literally just had this conversation with somebody the other day. We were discussing, actually it was with that state representative I was telling you about before we started recording. But I was talking about how people are too much focused on the problem and not the
Mm-hmm.
solution.
Yes.
Everybody in the world's got a gripe and a complaint and a problem with something, but none of them
Yes.
think about like how can we how can we come to this and solve this? How can
Yes.
we resolve whatever? And so what you did is you interjected yourself in like, hey, rather than add to the stress of like, how do we get this done?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, hey, here's some solutions to this.
Yeah. And like
What do you
use me
think?
as a tool too, like,
Yeah.
let's just get it done. Let's do it, Yeah.
And so that took you from administrative to starting to get to work on what? What would you say, like project management type stuff then?
Well, yes, but my title never changed. And that's where, not being content with my job anymore started to happen over years. Because I was really, I mean, I don't like to toot my own horn, but
Hey,
I was,
confidence is key.
I was good at what I did, and I um, I wanted more out of it, and the folks that I worked with, they knew that, and they would tell me that eventually I would have more, and so they'd say like, I see you, in project management, or I see you. Um, Maybe in sales someday or something, like, and so you hear those things, and when you really enjoy the job, like, you stick with it, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, like, yeah, I can have more. They told me I can have more, so I'm gonna stick here, and I'm gonna wait it out, and I'm gonna keep working hard. I'm gonna keep pushing to eventually get that.
Yeah.
And then we had a really large project. It was a casino boat that we were building for a casino in North Dakota. And my boss at the time was like, "We don't have a project manager for this job," and he's like, "But you know who's going to be the project manager?" And I laughed and I said, "You," because he was um, a man who took on a lot in the company too. He did way more than he needed to. So I just laughed and thought, "Oh, you're going to do it." And he's like, "Well, me and you." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, do I get a raise?" And he just kind of laughed and said, "Well, we'll see when the project's over." And I'm like, "Okay." In my head, I'm so now I got to wait this out and continue on for however long, trying to prove myself. I don't know. I got so tired of it. I got so fed up. Um, I used to joke that I did everything but weld for
Yeah.
that company.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and it was a small company, and so there wasn't a lot of room for growth, and I do understand that as well. Um, I get that, but I just started to feel taken advantage of, and I was becoming not happy. I mean, it got to the point where I was like crying every day, and
Yeah.
you don't want to cry every day, you
No,
know?
and then it's affecting your home life, right?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was taking work home too, and yeah, it was just getting to be too much. And I eventually thought I got to find more opportunity somewhere else. Um,
Yeah.
so, and then
And so
that's when
I want to take you back to this for a second because this is
yeah.
this is this is good. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So hear me out because I think there's a lot of people that if they listen to what you just talked about, and I'm going to just paraphrase, right? Because this is what I do. But you started at the bottom as an
Mm-hmm.
administrative assistant, and then
Mm-hmm.
you became an office manager in senses
Mm-hmm.
because then you ran the show as you got knowledge, you progressed, you took on stuff voluntarily, you increased your value, your net worth by
Mm-hmm.
showing your skill set. And then you started interjecting into, I can take this on from you, I can take this off of you. And
Mm-hmm.
really, because of your personality and your upbringing and independence and things like that, you're able to take that, and you're just a hungry person. Like, give me
Right.
more. I want to
Right.
grow. I want to do more. I want to help. I want to create more opportunity for myself, for my family.
Mm-hmm.
I could tell you that about you and just listening to how you navigated that, right? Which I think is
Mm-hmm.
beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
But of course. And the thing is with that though is How many people out there? Okay, we're gonna get right into drop of fire, Lacie, and like you're already qualified, so don't think anything you say is like, oh, like you've earned the right to say these things and to give this
Mm-hmm.
advice. Like I want to be clear about that.
Mm-hmm.
But how many people do you even know? Because I know for myself, like I can think of probably a dozen people off the top of my head that are in your same shoes you just were, where
Mm-hmm.
you got to know your value.
Right. Exactly.
And you got to know, like, there is a give element. I
Mm-hmm.
definitely think that
Yes.
that's necessary. That's the old school way. You give before you get. You give before
Yes.
you get. You give, and then you get. But there is a point where you got
Yes.
to cut that off because
Mm-hmm.
you're only going to establish, which is what it sounded like to you, where they're always going to expect now, but
Mm-hmm.
not reward.
Right.
There's it's just becomes like, oh, like I know you do great, but like we
Mm-hmm.
can't pay that, or we can't. Hey, by the way, Lacie, do you got those numbers for me on this budget? Are we on time on this schedule? Is what did I
Right.
miss in that meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you missed the notes where I asked you for that $25,000 more a year, or that
Mm-hmm.
$10,000 more a year, and I'm not
Yeah.
asking you to pay me for something I'm not doing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
How many people
Exactly.
do you know that are in that in that spot? And what I mean, I'm going to go right into some advice here. What do you got for people that are in that kind of
Mm-hmm.
turmoil, if you will?
Mm-hmm. Like, don't be afraid that the grass isn't greener on the other side. You
Yeah,
know, it might be scary, especially if you've been in a job for a long time, but sometimes being comfortable isn't where you're gonna grow. You
yeah,
know, you've got to
really.
eventually, yeah, you got to eventually make a decision to move if it's getting to that point where you're feeling undervalued and that you deserve more. Like, get uncomfortable and make that decision to find something else. Because I
Yeah,
can guarantee you, another company is going to see your value, and they're going to make sure that they take care of you. So, yeah.
yeah. And what would you say to somebody that's trying to set themselves up to be successful in making a jump? What are some things like people could do to be more competitive,
Hmm.
to be able to let me back up half a step. You did do this, but I think a lot of people miss this. Closed mouths don't get fed,
Hmm.
flat out. Closed
Hmm.
mouths don't get fed. You
Hmm.
have to build a confidence in you to ask for more money, which you
Yes.
did. You did
Yep.
that. But can you touch on that for people? Because I feel like a lot of people miss that. Like, at what point, one, are you qualified to ask for more money? And
Hmm.
then two, at what point, how do you, especially for our women out there, like, listen, I'm not saying women are any less than men, but sometimes I feel like they're
Hmm.
a little bit more timid about certain
Yes.
things, right?
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. There's some men that are timid as well, but especially for our young lady killers out there that are in the workforce trying to grow, trying to aggressively pursue leadership billets and more money and management roles, right?
Hmm.
How can you build that confidence and know when you can ask or how to
Sure.
ask, right?
Sure. So, well, the first thing an employer should be doing is, giving an employee um, like goals to hit, or what are your responsibilities, and then what are your goals in your position, and then you look at what are your responsibilities, how are you fulfilling them, are you meeting what your employer is asking for you, and then are you hitting your goals, and then are you exceeding them, are you doing
Yeah.
more, are you pushing more, are you participating, are you talking to people, you know trying to learn more, are you enthusiastic, like, are you all of those things, are you exceeding what your employer is asking of you? And if you are, and say it comes to your review time, I think that that is a perfect time to say, have it all on paper, say, this is what I did, this is the goals I met, this is how I exceeded them, and I think my value is worth more than what I'm getting now. And give a suggestion. Like, say, like, you know, give a number,
Yeah.
don't be afraid. I mean, worst you can hear is no. Um, it's not like they're gonna fire you. And no
Well,
sucks, but like,
yeah. Um, I lost you for a second there on the audio. What was that?
Sure. I said just do it, like the worst
Yeah,
you can hear is no. So
yeah,
just, you know, if you know that you are hitting your goals, you're exceeding them, um, you're in a good position to be able to ask for more,
yeah.
you know.
And I think like one thing about these goals, and this is it should be common sense, but it's not. I mean, it's 2024. You got to explain the shades of green to people right now so that they understand it, right? Like that's not just green; that's light green, that's dark green. But I'll digress. But you need to have measurable goals.
Yes. Yep.
It can't be I'm going to show up to work every day on time
Right.
because I think a lot of people have this entitlement, if we'll call it that.
Mhm.
Like they're
Mhm.
self entitled that now we live in a world where like legitimately people think that you you should get a reward for doing your job. There is a
Right.
difference between doing what is in your job description, doing your job, and meeting goals and measurable goals and exceeding. Like
And exceeding
showing
them.
up to
Yes.
work,
Mhm.
punching in, not going over on your lunch break, friggin'
Mhm.
attending, being on time to your meetings, taking notes. That's not bonus. Like
No.
everybody thinks like that's some extra thing that is what you're supposed to be doing to progress,
Right.
right? So your
Yes.
measurable goal can't be like, I'm not going to miss or call in sick for this whole quarter. That's not a
Right.
measurable goal. Your
Right.
measurable goal should be like, I'm going to do my job and then on this meeting, but at the same time, I'm going to meet with my mentor once a week to ask
Mhm.
him to teach me this, or I'm going to learn this subset. In
Right.
the office setting, I'm not really sure, but I'm not familiar with Microsoft Excel, so I'm going to learn this program additionally
Yep.
to this so that I'm more dynamic because I know that they're using this for planning purposes or this planning software. So even though I'm
Yeah.
not in it, I'm going to learn it so that I understand, and now I can take that from them to insert these notes. That's measurable. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
and what
And if
and
if the employer, like if your employer offers training, like if your employer, has the means and is willing to send their employees to do different trainings, take those opportunities. Like take all the training opportunities that you can and that your employer will. I mean, they should be paying for it for you. Take those
yeah.
opportunities and just try to do as much as you can to learn more and add more value um, to
And then
who
I
you're
like
working
what you
for.
said too, because like in this method that you're suggesting for our audiences, this gives you when you're going to these people for reviews. One, if you're in a company that doesn't review, ask for a review.
Yeah.
Ask your boss to tell you how am I doing?
Yep.
Am
Yep.
I meeting your expectations of me? What can I do better?
Yes.
How can I become more valuable to this company? How can I be a bigger asset? Those are all
Mm-hmm.
things that you should be thinking about every day as you grow. But you said something that really stood out to me, and that was enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You can't come into the office dragging ass and, oh, you're all
Yeah.
welcome. I'm here today.
Yeah. You can't go in being a negative Nancy.
No,
You just can't.
because
Everybody's got a
positivity
bad
is
day,
power.
but still, yeah.
Yeah, but
Everyone
positivity is powerful. You know?
infectious, you know,
Yes.
and so is negativity. So we all have a
Yes.
choice to make
Mm.
and, choose to be enthusiastic and choose to be positive, and that is infectious.
Yeah.
Whether you're meeting goals or not, if you are, if the morale in your office is positive and you're a part of that, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah. So before we move on to when you made that transition, is there anything else that you'd suggest? I mean, I think we hit that pretty good, and I love everything that we said there. But like, what would you? I'm just going to ask you this: what would you say to that person that's 9 years in, and you give? You have the stack of undeniable proof from the things that you've accomplished, and the
Mm-hmm.
measurable goals, and the positive reviews, and the feedback. What would you say to that person, like that needs to know, like it's time,
Mm-hmm.
and when,
Mm-hmm.
like close me out on this part of it.
Sure. Well, kind of just what I said before. I mean, if you've been with an employer for a long time and you're comfortable in that, it can be intimidating,
Yeah.
to leave. And but if you're at that point where you're not happy, you know you deserve more, you know your worth, um, just take that leap.
Yeah.
Try and take that leap, and like I said, the grass could be greener on the other side. So,
Yeah.
it's it's just knowing your worth, if you know you can do more for yourself, and if that's somewhere else, you just have to do it. I know it's
Yeah.
scary, but I
Yeah.
mean, um, you're not going to grow if you're just sitting around waiting, you know?
Yeah. I have this thing I say to people. I think you'll appreciate it, and it's if it's not growing, it's going,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
and that's just what you have to be. And it's funny you say this. I'm at a position in my life where I've been a crane operator for 11 years. I've loved
Mm-hmm.
it. Running cranes and heavy equipment is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But where I'm at, there's not really like much of a progression. You might, if there's a big enough job in town, you become a foreman. If you work for somebody
Right.
for X amount of years, you might become a crane superintendent, which is, but there's not really growth. And it's
Right.
scary because I'm used to making like a 6 figure salary, a union
Mm-hmm.
operator, and that's incredible. But like, I also have this part of me that like, like God created me for more than just to sit up
Right.
there and play with controls and be content and be comfortable because I make X amount of dollars, or like I'm hungry for more. And it
Mm-hmm.
terrifies me because it's, you want to talk about coming out, you have your safety nest. I know if I just shut up and fall in line and do this, I can make X amount, but I'm terrified of, I'm going to start over. But at the same time, I'm excited because I know where I'm the most uncomfortable is where the most opportunity is,
Right. Yep.
And so, yeah, no, that was killer advice. And thank you for sharing that for our audience. Cause I just feel like there's a lot of people in that 5 to 10 year stretch where they know they're worth more. They know they can do
Mm-hmm.
more, but society has lied to them and told them, if you don't work for a company for 25 years, you're not worth a shit as an employee. And
Right.
what I would say to those people is loyalty is a one-way street.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because if your company was loyal to you, they'd be offering you a progression path. Period.
Yes.
The end.
Yes.
Period. The end.
Yes.
And so you got to know when to go. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so talk about that. So you got this is the cool part, right?
Yeah.
This is where the barbarian Lacie comes in. You actually got to a point where your pain created change. That's the way I say it.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people ask me on my fitness journey specifically. They're like, "Hey, how did you get to the point where you like started changing? And what did you do?" Like, it was when I could tell you all day long, I'm going to make changes, or next week I'm going to do this. I'm going to quit drinking. I'm going to stop eating cookies. I'm the cookie monster right now, so I'm going to use that analogy, right? But
Sure.
like, I'm going to quit this. But the truth is, until it's uncomfortable enough or it causes enough pain, you're not going to change.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
for me, I think this is the same for careers. Like, you got to get to a point where it hurts your ego and it hurts your soul and it hurts
Mm-hmm.
your pocketbook or whatever enough that you got to say, I'm going to change. So for you, it finally got to a point where, like, hey, now I'm coming home with work. I'm thinking about this way too much. I'm stressed
Mm-hmm.
about this. I'm constantly trying to sell myself to people that I know they respect me, but the companies tell me with their actions that they don't appreciate me with their
Right.
actions, not their words, right?
Right.
And they're kind of taking advantage of me. And you took action. This is the
Mm-hmm.
barbarian part. You took action on that. So talk us through that. 9 years in.
Yeah. So, um, I put in my notice, and I gave them a month notice. Um, like that, I think that in itself speaks volumes as to my commitment to that company that I worked for
Yeah.
so long. I gave, a month notice to be able to kind of close things out, and let them prepare for who was going to fill my shoes. Um, and it was an emotional leave for me. Like I said, I worked with these people for so long, but um, but I also looked for a job. for like 6 months. And
Yeah.
and then this position came up with the company that I'm working for now. It was an administrative assistant job again. Um, but I thought, after researching this company, seeing that it was a worldwide company, perhaps there'd be more opportunity for me to grow.
Yeah.
You know, get hired in with what I'm doing now, and then look for opportunity if it's there. Um, so so that's what I did. I interviewed for the job, and heard not long after that they wanted to hire me, and I took the position as an admin assistant. And it's a learning curve.
Yeah.
Starting at a new company when you've been somewhere for so long, it's an entirely different industry, still in an industrial environment though. So it was still something interesting to me, but now I'm learning something entirely new. So um, um, yeah, so kind of like a quick version of it. I was like 6 months into this new administrative assistant job, and the health and safety person who was in that position for I think 6 years, he and his wife moved to southern Wisconsin, so his position was open. Now, let me tell you, when that position opened, it did not cross my mind one bit that I could be the health and safety person, or the health, safety, and environmental person. I just thought myself more as like moving into project management, or something like that. Um, Never safety and environmental. But one day, um, one of the coworkers that I had, he came into the office, and he said to me, maybe you should think about applying for that safety and environmental. And I laughed. I literally laughed. I thought he was joking. And I was like, no, you're joking, right? Like, I can't do that. I'm so not qualified for that. And he was like, no, I'm not joking. And I was like, you're yanking my chain. And the other admin who shared an office with me, she's like, I don't think he's joking, Lacie.
Yeah.
And so I thought about it for a little while, kind of let it stir in my brain. And then I was like, thinking to myself, okay, it is definitely more opportunity for me. It's a huge learning curve. Um, I also am not naive to the fact that the safety person isn't necessarily the most liked person in a company. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, I
am I
do.
am I ready to take that on? Again, male dominated. There's only
Yeah.
3 women, and there's 50 people in the plant. So,
And you're the new guy.
yeah, right, right. So I thought to myself, there's no way I'm gonna even apply for this if I don't talk to my boss first, the plant manager, and kind of pick his brain, and see what he thinks. So I did. I sat down with him in his office, and I told him, I said, Joe, he put this little bug in my ear and told me that I should apply for this. And I said, I am interested in it, but I want to know what your view on it is. I'm not even going to put an application in if you think I can't do it, if you think it's not a fit for me. And he looks at me, and he's like, I think you can do it. And I was like, really? I was totally shocked. I really was totally shocked. And he's like, yeah, I think you can do it. He's like, it is going to be a huge learning curve, but I think you have the attitude for it. And I thought, okay, all right, I'm gonna do this. I'm just gonna like jump in, and I still had to put in an application. Um, but it ended up being just a promotion for me. So
Yeah.
yeah, I ended up getting that health, safety, and environmental specialist
So you
job.
go from 9 years of
Mm-hmm.
fighting
Mm-hmm.
for more money, more
Mm-hmm.
respect, more responsibility, more
Mm-hmm.
growth,
Yeah.
to 6 weeks and a boss
six
looking
months.
at you.
6 months.
6 months,
Yeah.
excuse me.
Yeah.
Six
Yeah.
months though, and a boss looking at you is saying,
Mm-hmm.
I think you got it.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
got the aptitude for it. You got the ability. And talk about that. What that belief do for you? Because that's probably the first time in your professional career. Not that you
Yes.
never experienced people tell you did good, but you were
Hmm.
reaffirmed. Like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Right. And that's so funny that you say that, the belief. So that gentleman, Joe, who put that bug in my ear to apply for that job, he actually just left yesterday. It was his last day at the office yesterday. And I've been there now for 2.5 years. And he's a cattle farmer, so he's just gonna do the cattle farming thing. But before he left, the one of the last things I said to him was thanks for believing in me,
Yeah.
because he put that bug in my ear, and he was like, I never would have told you to do that if I didn't think you could do it. And his belief in me, and then the plant manager's belief in me, giving me the go ahead, like, yeah, you could, I think you can do it, it was huge.
Yeah.
It gave me the confidence to be able to just jump right in, I guess. If the plant manager would have said, like, it might be a little much yet, like, let's wait for another opportunity to come up, then I wouldn't have done it. Because I was still brand new in that position. I was only there for 6 months. So I don't think I would have done it.
But you're not brand new because
Yeah,
you're
that's true.
9.5 years of doing that position. You might be
Yeah.
new, have a new name badge, but you're not new to administrate. I mean, you probably crushed that, like
Hmm.
to a point
Hmm.
where they were probably like, wow, that was a great hire on our part because you made their life better. You made it.
Right.
And that's part of being a barbarian, is being a resource for those around you and being able to do that. But how cool is it that you finally, and this for our audience, like, you need to be with a company that's willing to do that. Like what you just
Yes.
said is you sat down, this is on
Hmm.
you. You sit
Yes.
down and you ask the question, hey,
Yes.
I heard about this. I like your feedback.
Yes.
Feedback is one of the most valuable things that we can get,
Yes.
right? I would like your feedback. I want to grow. I told you this when
Hmm.
I hired on with you guys. I want to grow.
Hmm.
Um, what do you think? And for the
Hmm.
first time, I think you should do it.
Yeah. It
And
was
that,
unreal. Yeah.
yeah. And if you're a killer and you want growth, you need
Hmm.
to put yourself in those positions for that. Even if, Lacie, let's be real, even if he would have told you, I don't think that that's a good fit, your eye is still on project manager.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
period, the end, or you wouldn't
Yeah.
stay there.
Yes. Hmm.
Because you've
Yep.
already got the confidence now to be bold enough to make the move. That was the scary part, make the jump. And now
Hmm.
you're in a role where you're seeing this, and now you put yourself intentionally in a position with the company that has routes of growth. So no
Hmm.
matter what, I'm not staying in this admin stuff. Did you give yourself like I'm going to do this for 2 years max? Then, or did you any kind of
No,
timeline on growth?
no,
No.
I didn't. No. Um, I guess I just kind of went into it and um, just thought, let's see where it takes me, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so now today, because you took aggressive action, that's what
Hmm.
it is. It's aggressive, intentional action, and you set yourself up and you ask questions. First, you did this. You shut your
Hmm.
mouth. You listened.
Hmm.
Demonstrated your skill set, right? Which is just, hey,
Hmm.
you guys have been doing this for a decade. You should be able to demonstrate what you're capable of. And
Hmm.
you also showed the eagerness to learn and that you're
Hmm.
quick on your feet to learn and play catch up with a new company.
Yeah.
In that, I think I want to make this point, and I'm curious to your opinion to this. I really am curious what you think of this. Like, as I've been going through this interviewing thing or sending my application and resume out to different people and trying just throwing plugs and trying to see what I want to do.
Yeah.
It occurred to me that, like, you're interviewing essentially for the opportunity to learn.
Hmm.
You're never going to go somewhere and plug and play. You might have 90% of what they want or 98% or 75%. But no matter what, when you're interviewing for a job,
Hmm.
you're literally just applying for the opportunity to learn from this company how to do what they expect you to do. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yep.
So don't be scared to try something, because all you're doing is throwing
Right.
your resume out there to say, I've done this before, but I would like to learn how to do what this position is with you, the way you
Yes.
want it done,
Yes.
right?
Yep. And that's only just going to help you grow even more, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and it builds confidence.
it
Like
does.
on the feedback thing, like to me, failure is feedback. So every time you get a
Yes.
no, that's just feedback, and that
Mm-hmm.
feedback is fuel for growth. It really is
Mm-hmm.
because it gives you areas to attack,
Yep.
things to get better at. You know,
Mm-hmm.
now you know where on your leading edge needs to be sharpened.
Right. Yep.
You know, and it's a
Yeah.
temperature check. So
Mm-hmm.
that brings us to now you're the health and safety. I know because I know your husband. You travel and train, and
Mm-hmm. Yes.
what's that look like today for you?
Yeah. So, well, when I went into it, into the safety and environmental job, I went into it with the mentality of I'm coming in to learn. Here we are
Yeah,
talking about learning again. And that's the attitude that I gave to the rest of the plant as well. Like I wasn't going to come in acting like, I know it all, I didn't want to be like the scary safety person. And, it was just like I told these guys, I said, I'm here to learn. Um, I was totally honest with them and I said, I am intimidated. I'm just gonna tell you
mm-hmm.
guys that I am intimidated by this job, but I am really eager to learn about it. And I would really love any help or advice that you guys can give me. And really, everybody there kind of takes me under their wing if they, you know, if I say that I need it or if they think I need it, they've really helped me along and been supportive. And that's something that I've been so thankful for. And still today, every single day I feel like I'm still learning something new all the time.
Yeah,
Um, so and this company too, um, they do believe in investing in their people. So my boss, he tells me anything that you want to go to training for, that you feel is gonna only help improve you. He's like, do it. I will make sure that you're able to take these, courses or whatever it is to be able to help myself grow. And I'm super thankful for that. So
that's incredible.
that's really awesome. Yeah. Yep. Hmm.
Yeah. So where do you see yourself going with this? Obviously, like there's definitely routes of growth from this. It
Hmm.
sounds like
Hmm.
down the road you could even have options to become like some kind of like super senior type management at a different
Hmm.
plant in a different location or something.
Yeah, yeah. We'll kind of see where it takes me. I mean, like I said, I still feel like I'm learning so much. I still feel really green. Here I am
Yeah,
using green again.
yeah,
But yeah, I still feel like a newbie, So, um, I want to take advantage of this opportunity and this position as much as I can to help myself just keep growing. And so my plan is to stay here and just keep growing. And then if opportunities start presenting themselves, I have no problem looking at them. But I feel like I have such an opportunity in front of me in the position that I'm in, and this company is willing to invest in my learning, and I need to like stick to that.
yeah, absolutely.
So,
And
mhm.
this is actually a perfect place to segue this because where I want to go with this is one, I'm proud of you. I told you this
Thanks.
before we started recording, but I am like I hope you're proud of yourself more than anything,
Hmm.
because what you've done is incredible. You didn't take no for an answer. You
Hmm.
became resilient. You sucked it up when things got hard. Let's be real. The world. Let's be real. Excuse me. The world is shit. It's hard to
Hmm.
change. It's scary to
Yeah.
change. A lot of people around you tell you play it safe. What are you doing? That's crazy. But you did it.
Hmm.
And I know you got a great support system at home with Jimmy, and I know Jimmy's been super
Yeah.
supportive of like, hey, you got this. I believe in you. Absolutely, ask for more money. Do the do these things to the point where sometimes I wish he'd take some of your notes about himself for what his job, because that guy's amazing also,
Mm-hmm.
and
He is.
and deserves more. I want you both to have the world. I mean that sincerely. But where I want to take this is this is really important to me. I think I want to talk about the example you're setting for your kids too,
Mm-hmm.
because what you've done is not only show your son, Cameron,
Mm-hmm.
but you're
Mm-hmm.
showing your daughter as well. You're showing your daughter and your son what it looks like to be a leader,
Mm-hmm.
what it looks like to take aggressive action, what
Mm-hmm.
it looks like to build confidence and to
Mm-hmm.
tackle the unknown. And um, one, I think you and Jimmy are incredible parents. I love seeing everything you guys share, posts about
Mm-hmm.
your kids are just out there. They're winning wrestling matches. They're dancing and doing
Yeah.
beautiful things. And Jimmy's the only freak I know that at almost 40 can still do a backflip. Freaking loser.
I know.
Like, what are you doing? Go grow up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Love you, Jimmy.
definitely a kid at heart. Yeah.
Yeah. The Birdman, Birdman Junior now.
Yes. Yep.
But in all seriousness, what you've done is what I think is just so important is I want to take a second to touch on this for a couple minutes, and from your perspective as well, because I think women need to hear this. Like, your example matters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's to your friends group, to your spouse,
Mm-hmm.
for yourself, most importantly for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need to teach yourself what is possible. You need to teach
Mm-hmm.
yourself that there's more, that you were created for greatness, you were created for excellence. Like, that is in you. It's innate in you, primally.
Mm-hmm. Right.
If you want it, you got to
Mm-hmm.
go get it. You can't sit back. But in the world that we live in today, where parents are kind of checked out and stuff like that, I really, and
Right.
this is no judgment, because I'm guilty of letting my kids have devices. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying this, folks, I'm better than any of you, but I want to take a minute for you to kind of talk us through, like, setting that example and teaching
Mm-hmm.
these kids and what that has meant to you to be able to show your children this, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you're raising warriors, is what I'm calling it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Powerhouses.
Right. Right. Yeah. I think about the difference in how I grew up, and until I was 10 years old, my mom was a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
And then, at 10 and seeing her now having to work all the time made a huge influence on me and
Yeah.
wanting to be a workhorse like she was in providing for us kids. And so I think of now myself, I've always been a working mom. My kids don't know any different, you know,
Yeah.
they don't know what a stay-at-home mom is like. They've always seen mom get up, get ready, take them to school, daycare, and go to work and come home and or pick them up and whatever that is. But they see me working from home too, and um, they know that work is really important to me. They know that mom and dad work hard so that they can have a good life. They know that living in this house is because of mom and dad working hard.
Yeah.
Going and doing the fun things like camping and trips and whatnot. Like, they know that we have to work hard for it. They know that mom and dad are working for us to be able to do all those things. um
Yeah. And let's hold on a second, because you just reminded me of something. Like, you guys have had a huge win in the last couple of years, where you would talk about scary change. You sold your first house
mhm. Yeah.
and went all in on a dream property, essentially.
Mhm.
The next
Mhm.
step for you guys, and
Yeah.
got it,
Yes.
and got this new house.
Yeah.
You got out of check to check life and worried about, if my vehicle breaks down, how do we afford tire, all the stresses of all of us. You got out of that, and that's not a dig, that's a compliment. Like, because
Mhm.
that's impressive. Like, you
Mhm.
bared down, you dug yourself in, and you
Mhm.
fought through it. This is just a testament to your guys' resilience as your character of people, right? And
Right.
you showed your kids what's really possible. And that's all, Lacie, part of that is 50% of that is on your willingness to get uncomfortable and change.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, you're
And
so
that's
right.
got to be like
Mhm. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, because
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
it
it
created
really
more
is.
opportunity, right? So, like, and what I want to hit on this, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but like I'm a passionate dude, and I love people.
Yeah.
I want to see them win. It gets me fired up to talk about you guys winning. But like, you don't know what is on the other side of discomfort.
Right. Exactly. Yep. Yeah, you got to get uncomfortable.
You
hmm
got to, because on that
hmm
other side could be everything you dreamed of
Yep. Absolutely.
and more.
hmm Yes.
Not to be
hmm
cliche, but it could be that and more. Those
hmm
camping trips, the bigger property, the nicer house to raise your family on, the opportunity for growth further on,
hmm
later on,
Yeah.
if you want, the training, making yourself
hmm
even more resilient, the money,
hmm
the
hmm
man, the peace of mind to know
Yeah.
I did
hmm
it.
Right.
Because I don't think you could put a price on the confidence that comes from what you did,
hmm
right? Because
Yeah.
and that's
Right.
created, by the way. It's not given.
hmm
You had to
hmm
create that for yourself. And the most powerful lesson about all of that is you did it in front of your kids.
hmm Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Right.
yeah, teaching my kids. So what do you say to the parents out there, right? Like, help me out here because they're watching.
Right. Right. I just, it's hard because not everybody has that drive. Not everybody you have to be self aware. Okay. I
Yeah,
guess
yeah.
I'm going to, like, that's where it all starts. You've got to be self aware. You've got to look at yourself. Like, what are your habits? How are you spending your free time? Like, are you spending time with your kids? Um, are you wasting it on drugs and alcohol and really evaluate and be self-aware, like where are you at, and try to find it in you. It's got to come from yourself. Nobody can do it for you to get better. What changes do you have to make and get uncomfortable and grow from that and know that, you know, um, taking these leaps and bounds and leaps of faith, um, to get uncomfortable and find out what's on the other side to make your life better. Um, it's and let your kids see you do it, while you're at it.
Yeah.
Talk to your kids and tell them, what does mom do every day at work, and what comes from mom being at work every day, um, I think that's important.
What's your opinion on? I mean, I think there's limits to it, right? Like you always we want to protect our babies. I mean, like let's be real, you
hmm
got to protect your baby. But what's your limits on like letting your kids understand the struggle? I think there's value in struggle.
Yeah, I do too. Yep.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
I don't think they need to
telling,
know like, hey, mom's worried about buying
oh
groceries
yeah, no,
this week, but they need to
right.
know like sometimes mom has a really hard time too,
Yeah, yep,
right?
yep. And I am, um, sometimes I am open with them about that. If I'm having a hard time, it's okay for them to see mom or dad struggling, because
Yeah.
that then gives them confidence in what they're feeling to be able to find a resolution, rather than like mom trying to stuff it all in and like, hold it in and let it bottle up later, and you're lashing out then at your kids, like it's okay to just like sit back and like just be like, mom needs a break for a minute, mom just needs to breathe, like, I just had a really hard day, and that's okay. Like let your kids see you do that. Like sometimes, they appreciate that, I think, you know.
Yeah. What would you say? What would you say makes you the most proud that your kids have seen you do? Because I'm going to preface this for you a little bit here, and I hope this doesn't at all come across crass or anything, but by what people like our age when we were growing up would have said, like you come from a home that's broken, right?
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
where it's hard because you had to have two parents in two different places and be spend
Mm-hmm.
this amount of time with this one, that amount of time with that one, and grow up essentially on the spot because of it to help with
Mm-hmm.
your siblings. And yes, it that struggle created this resilient, incredible human that you are today. This powerhouse of a woman is, I think, is because of this.
Mm-hmm.
But there's got to be a level to you that like, or something that you're most proud of now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll share this with you. Like, I grew up, like you were saying, like not money,
Yeah, right.
not in a victim way, but I was the only black kid. My brothers and
Right.
sisters, they're white.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a byproduct of rape and sexual
Mm-hmm.
assault. That's how I was conceived and born. And
Right.
I didn't know my dad fought sperm donor, right? I didn't know that
Sure.
guy. I only knew the guy
Yeah.
that married my mom and took me on at 19 months old and with my mom. And then all the questions that come with that. And not in a porter's of me, but all those things made
Mm-hmm.
me, and then to grow up poverty on top of that
Mm-hmm.
in a time where like
Yeah.
bullying was different than today. It was like kids were mean. Kids have always been mean, but it was different. Like you lived in a small farm community and people had shit to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
things you had questions asked that you didn't even know the answer to. And but I'll tell you what I'm most proud of in all that is that none of that broke me.
Right.
And then today, like I went from having to always have like Goodwill football cleats or grandma and grandpa bought may have put some money together to get basketball shoes for me and I didn't know it, like to
Mm-hmm.
help mom and dad out because we just didn't have money. We were eating frozen peas and macaroni more than I can remember trying to get to payday, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
To where like even on my worst day, my kids have shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Even on my
Yep.
worst day, my kids have food, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's something super, super, super important to me and that I'm
Right.
proud of is that I could say like I bought this house and I
Mm-hmm.
did this for my kids. What you have to have some element of that, right?
Oh, for sure. I think we always want for our kids what we didn't have.
Yeah.
And being a parent, I think that that's a goal of the majority of us. You know, we want to provide for our kids and give them a life that we wish we would have had when we were kids. And I am so damn proud of being able to provide for my kids like I have, Jimmy and I, that they can, you know, be in their sports, that Jimmy and I are there for them. Um, we go to their practices, you know, like even working every single day and as hard as we do, we're still going to all their practices and watching their games and being involved with them, taking them hunting, you
Yeah.
know. I'm just really proud of our family life.
Yeah.
And not falling into, you know, we both have history in our families of addiction, you know, and
Yeah.
we didn't become products of that. I'm super proud of that also, you know,
Yeah.
whether it's alcohol or drug addiction, we've got it both. So, you know, we've risen above it, and I'm just so proud of just the life that we've built, you know, and that I want our kids though to realize that that comes with hard work, you know. It doesn't just come free. You have to work hard for it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you guys have done an incredible
Mhm.
job from a friend, from an outsider's perspective. You guys are doing incredible.
Mhm.
Absolutely
Mhm.
incredible.
Thank you.
And I'm glad that you're proud, but
Mhm.
you earned that, right? You earned that shit. That's where like I didn't keep
Thanks.
doing this for our audience that is not watching. I'm
Yeah.
pounding my chest, giving Lacie the that's
Yeah.
where you're the King Kong in that, right? Like you have to have an element of like, I got this shit.
Mhm. Yep.
Because that's the scariest thing in the world is to think you can fail your kids.
Right. Yes. Oh my God. It's terrifying. Yeah.
Scariest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And to know that you're not, because every day you're showing up and you're teaching them what it looks like to deal with things as they arise, to be
Mhm.
resilient, to press
Mhm.
on, to push the boundary, to live uncomfortably, to take
Mhm.
aggressive action.
Mhm. Yep.
That's where your kids are going to win. And you know that. That's because you taught that.
Yep. Thanks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the part of the show where we get into some questions.
Sure.
I'm gonna hit you with some questions. First, I really appreciate your time. I've loved getting to hear your story and your mindset. I think it's super valuable. It's powerful. But I wanna hit our audience with some knowledge, give them some wisdom. So I got to ask you the staple question. This is the Barbarian show. Okay, so we're transitioning, and we're getting away from just blue collar, becoming more of the Barbarian, because I think it's really, really important to teach people that I'm always going to be a blue collar hearted guy, but I want to tell the stories of those people that are getting it regardless of the industry, like of
Mm-hmm.
winning, go get it, grind it out, get what you were created for out of life, people.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at you as one of those people. So, what is a barbarian to you, Lacie Glaeser?
Oh my gosh. That's a loaded question. A barbarian to me is like going back to the whole workhorse thing, being a workhorse, but being enthusiastic, being supportive and strong, and just push yourself, um, you know, setting goals, accomplishing them. And if you don't, you learn from it. And, where can you always just improve yourself, and just um, keep pushing to be better.
Yeah. No, that's
Hmm.
great. And I would agree with that. So, when I think of barbarians, it's just somebody that's always taking aggressive action and go, go,
Hmm.
go. So, barbarian is unruly, savage, right?
Hmm.
People could get in. They ask me all the time, "Do you know what a barbarian?" Yes, I know what a barbarian is by definition. I understand that, but it's the unruly, aggressive approach, right? And so I
Yeah.
totally agree with what you're saying there. It's that showing
Hmm.
up every day, ready to get it, with a tenacity,
Hmm.
with an energy, with a fire to you. It's even when I lose, I win.
Hmm. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
and that's what it
Yep.
comes down to. So,
Hmm.
beautifully said. Moving right along. What is something that can help women gain confidence and step into bigger roles
Hmm.
or
Well,
chase their goals, their dreams?
sure. I think taking care of yourself is huge. Taking
Yes.
care of your physical self, taking care of your mental health. Those are huge things. Like if you're not taking care of yourself, how are you supposed to be able to succeed in the rest of your life, whether that's working or parenting, being a good friend, etc.? Like
Yeah.
take the time to focus on yourself, whether that's working out and eating well, reading books, things like that. Even like if you can like get away when your kids go to bed and like take a bubble bath and just have some alone time to yourself. You know what I mean? Like you've got to
Mm.
focus on like what makes you you, and don't lose sight of it.
Yeah. No,
Hmm.
beautifully said. So, what are some
Yeah.
things that women could do? I'm just to give them a little extra here. I agree with you. Taking care of yourself is huge.
Yeah.
Would you say, um, as far as confidence building goes, is to just really to find the way to interject intentional action at something that is you? Is that would be
Hmm.
like
Yeah, I think so.
hey,
Yeah.
go get the damn manicure.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. For me, it's like I love to work out. For me, working out gives me confidence because,
Yeah.
you know, I'm I have a bike. It's not a Peloton, but it's a bike similar to one. And on my last workout, I was like, I gotta hit 7 miles, and it's a 30-minute ride. And I'm like, it's cool down, so it's like the last 2 minutes, and I'm like at 6.5, and I'm like, I'm not cooling down. I'm going, I'm going, I'm going, because I want to hit that 7. So, it's like, and then I hit it, and it's like that feeling of just hitting a goal like that in physical activity gives me confidence, because
Mhm.
it just kind of pushes you, and
Yeah, and so I said this, and I think you'll appreciate this. I actually said this. I had a conversation with a friend about this. I said, they said, "Where did everything start for you?" And I said, "Is it everything with the physical?" I said, "The physical creates the confidence, and the confidence
mm-hmm,
creates curiosity. And when I say
mm-hmm,
that, it means confident makes you curious of what more can I do?"
right, mm-hmm, Yep.
or
For sure.
you'll test the water. Is it hot over there? Is the
Mm-hmm.
electric fence on? Can I do this?
Mm-hmm.
I spot checked. You'll appreciate this. I spot checked myself. I think it was 3 weeks ago now, beginning of April. Wow, it's been a month. So 4 weeks ago now. I spot checked myself, and I woke up on a Tuesday morning. And Tuesday's typically just my cardio day, no weight training. I'm big into the gym like you, working out. It's my
Mm-hmm.
how I work on me. And
Mm-hmm.
I woke up and a half marathon was on my mind, and I did
Yeah.
it.
Hell yeah.
I just woke
Yeah.
up on a Tuesday morning, and that was my number. And I got on the treadmill and I ran a half marathon,
That's
and
amazing.
and
Yeah.
it was the most like crazy. I'm not a runner. I absolutely
Yeah.
hate running. I haven't
Yeah.
ran a half marathon ever.
Yeah.
And on a treadmill, especially in the gym, I get up every morning at 2:30. I'm in the gym from 3 to 5, typically 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. And to be on that treadmill at 3:15 in the morning running, and I'm at mile 6, and I'm to the point where I can't even tell myself out loud I'm going to run a half marathon because I don't want to create a quit. But then
Mm-hmm.
I'm at
Mm-hmm.
6, and then I'm hydrating, and then I'm run 2 more, and then I'm at 8, and at 8 I'm like, oh man, like we're at 8, and then next thing I know I'm
Mm-hmm.
at 10 and a half, and at 10 and a half I'm like, I'm doing this damn thing, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
saying
Right.
I'm going the
Can't
distance, and
stop
then
now. Yeah.
yeah, and then I'm doing intermittent. I'm running 2 miles and I'm pushing it. And next thing you know, I think I did it for my first time ever. I did 2 hours 28 minutes or something like that. But um, I did 13.4 is what I ended up doing. But
Mm-hmm.
it was it was incredible because holy shit, I
Yeah.
woke up, said, "Can I do this?"
And you did it.
And spot check myself. Where are you at? You
Uh-huh.
know, can you do it? And
Right.
so I just want to. The reason I'm sharing that is with you is not for bragging points, but it's just like once you get on that nerve, like you're saying, you're at 6.5. It's supposed to be a cool down. No,
Mm-hmm.
no, no,
Yeah.
no.
Right.
Seven's my number.
Yeah.
But now that you've done 7, tell me there won't be a day, Lacie, where you're like
Oh
you're
yeah.
gonna wake up and be like, I'm riding 10 miles.
Yeah. Right.
I got 40 minutes to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. For sure.
Like
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So
Yep. It'll
I
be
love
there.
it. I love it.
Yeah.
My last question. Well, not my last one. I got 2 more for you. Okay. Um, this is important, and we did hit this, but I want this to be in the end format too. And this is talking to yourself, kind of give yourself 5 years ago advice.
Mm-hmm.
What would you tell someone that's afraid to make a change?
Well, change is where we grow, you know.
Yeah.
Um, it's just going back to that being comfortable and getting uncomfortable, you know. Change equals growth, in my
Yes.
opinion. You know, it can be intimidating, but um, it equals growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Absolutely. I love that. I just wanted to touch on that again. Like I said, okay. I'm going to take away your easy out on this question. This is my final question for you tonight. And like I said, I
Uh-huh.
really appreciate your time.
Yeah.
But it's what is your biggest goal for yourself? Now,
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to eliminate some things here from you
Hmm.
because I know your character and we've talked about this and I beat this horse dead. Like you're an incredible parent and your kids always come first. So I know
Hmm.
that. I'm
Hmm.
not going to give you the easy out. I want my
You're
kids to
right.
have a great life and this and that because I know that. But for
Hmm.
you, what is your biggest goal for you?
Okay, I'm gonna just say it, like I've always envisioned myself like running a place. Like I'm the top dog and I'm running it. You know, I've just always envisioned myself being that person. And
Yeah.
it sounds like it's scary to say it out loud to people that are going to be listening, but I want to run a place someday. Like that's the kind of drive that I have. I don't know if it's going to be where I am now. I don't know if it's going to be another company. I have no idea, but I don't see myself stopping where I'm at.
Mm.
I don't see myself staying stagnant where I'm at. I see myself growing. And if that takes time, it takes time. That's fine with me. but I have a goal to just be that girl boss.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you know
Yeah.
what we're going to do? We're going to manifest that shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're going to go to God and you're going to say, hey, because I know you believe in God too. Like, give me the tools.
Mm-hmm.
Show
Yep.
me the way. But if you can see it, you can do
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yep.
Seeing is
Mm-hmm.
believing.
Yeah.
So, and I know you know this, but everything in your life, I just want to reassure you. If you think back to all the things you've accomplished, how many of them have you thought in your mind and you've seen that progression in your head
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to where you are? You had to literally visualize, if you will, and this is where people get
Yes.
all like, "Oh, that's corny." No,
No, it's
I've
true. It's so
you
true.
have to. You
You
have to
have
see
to.
yourself in that role
Yes, you do. Yep.
and dream and think
Yep.
and then
And then you have to
somehow
take action. Then you have to
there's the
take
key.
action. Yeah. Yep.
There's the key. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
you have to take action.
Mm-hmm.
Take action, grow, and if you're not growing, go.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. Exactly.
And
Mm-hmm.
don't be afraid. You miss a what is it? You miss a thousand. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, or whatever.
Yep.
However that
Mm-hmm.
you know the expression.
Yep.
Like take your shot.
Yep.
Take
Exactly.
your shot. Lacie
Mm-hmm.
Glaeser, I appreciate you sincerely. Um, I've absolutely loved your story. You inspire me. I think that this episode, when it comes out, is going to inspire a lot of women. I think it's going to inspire men too. You're going to probably get messages from people. I hope you're going to get messages from people telling you about, hey, I really appreciated hearing that. And I know no matter what, you're going to be able to look back on this someday and share this with your kids. And that's my biggest hope, to be able to give you this gift, that they'll be able to hear the story of what kind of a warrior their mom really is and what it looks like to do things to grow, to take
Mm-hmm.
your shot. With that being said, Lacie, the last thing I'd like to ask you is, when we close the show, we always ask for your closing thoughts, but a book suggestion and or a quote that spoke to you, because I'd like to leave our audience with something to sharpen their mental sword.
Sure. So I actually have a quote. It
Yes.
is a quote by Maya Angelou, and it's "And still I rise." Um, and I actually have a ring on my thumb here. It's engraved, "And still I rise." And that's just a huge, maybe a story for another day, another podcast. But
Yeah.
it's a quote that means a lot to me, and I think it applies to a lot in my life. So yeah, and
Yes.
still I
And
rise.
still I rise.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Ooh, that's good. And still I rise. I like it. Any closing thoughts for us?
um, I just hope that some of what I said inspired at least one person to take that jump, take that leap, um, and grow in their own journey.
For
Mm-hmm.
what it's worth, I think you sealed some stuff that I was working through in my head in this conversation. So
Oh,
if it's one person you're after, you did it.
thanks, Jonathan.
Yeah, I mean that.
Mm-hmm.
But, ladies and gentlemen, this has been cool. This is Lacie Glaeser. Lacie, I appreciate your time. I have an ask for our audience. Go ahead and check out their photography page. Her and Jimmy
Oh,
are killing it.
thanks. Yeah,
They're
we have a
killing it.
photography business. Yeah.
Yeah, always
Yeah.
hustling. So tell them where they
Yeah.
can find you. See some of your
Uh,
work.
yeah, JNL Photography is the name of our business. I think the Instagram handle is underscore JNL Photography LLC, I think. And
I
we're
will
on
tag it.
Facebook too. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Awesome. Um, with that being said, Lacie, again, thank you so much for your time. Please reach out to us if we can do anything for you. But more importantly, I have some closing words for you, and that's keep pushing the fight.
Thanks.
You said, and still I rise, and that actually speaks volumes to me. I'll probably have you message me that offline, uh,
Mm-hmm.
where to find that, so I can look at more context with it, because
Sure.
that's powerful. That's really, really powerful, and I like it. But I just want to tell you, keep pushing the fight. What you're doing matters. What you're
Mm-hmm.
doing is needed. This world needs to see strong women. It needs to see leaders. Your kids need the example. Your community needs the example.
Mm-hmm.
and your family. Everybody needs it more than we know right
Mm-hmm.
now. So thank you so much for taking your time to share that with us. And to our
Thank you.
barbarians,
Yeah.
take notes and take notes and take action, and still I rise. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to the podcast today, and we will see you on the next one.
Thanks, Jonathan.